everyone. So we begin we begin this video with my torso in your face. You might recall from a few videos back, I mentioned I had ordered some Renaissance Fair clothing from an Etsy shop called Zootzu, spelled Z-O-O-T-Z-U, and that I would try to model some of the stuff that I bought. It's been piled up on my dresser ever since I got it because there's no more room in my closet to house all of this stuff. But anyway, this is one of the things that I got, and it's really fun. The top is, I think, versatile enough. They have many colors, by the way. I got the dark purple because I was lacking in Ren Fair clothing and costumes in general in dark purple. So I don't even know if you can make out the color really. It's like a really rich, warm purple. This is deceptive. A situation that will be corrected as soon as I have a micro SD card for the camera. My SJ Cam 4000 arrived, but they send it without the SD card. The camera and about 25 little accessories that are individually wrapped I'll probably never use, but one or two of them. So anyway, yes, the top, very versatile. I think you could just work this into your everyday wardrobe. And then the skirt, I bought it because of the skirt, which I can't, there's not enough room here. I tried relocating to the living room to give you a better idea, but it's, well, maybe if I stand in the chair. But that didn't work out. So anyway, so the hemline of this thing is awesome. It's, I think, characteristic of a lot of their skirts and dresses. It's, what do you call this? There's got to be a name for it. It's just sort of like a witchy, gypsy, uneven, layered, tiered, actually. The whole skirt is layered. So you've got the underskirt, which is a lavender, and then the dark purple, and then the belt, which if I snake on back down, it's it has a tie and it's elastic, and this is very good because with what they call a coconut, they call it the coconut skirt. So this is made out of coconut, allegedly. But yeah, they only sell these in two sizes, unfortunately. Small, medium, and it was either medium large or large extra large, I don't recall. But if you are an extra small, medium's not going to be good. So this thing is really loose. I have it pulled, I have the sash pulled very tight, and therefore I've got these little like wrinkly things. So I'm going to be concerned the day I wear it that this will like slip up and then it'll become gappy in the front, but whatever. So yeah, so that's one. I might model the other stuff later in the video, or I don't know. I hate editing these things. But yeah, I had intended to go outside with my new camera. We're actually having gorgeous weather today. Suddenly there were some storms that came through New York last night, and the weather had been just sweltering. It was like a gripping humidity. Even when it was 75 degrees, it felt like 100. So yeah, I was actually caught in the rain, and I forged through it from the subway back to my apartment yesterday afternoon. I didn't have an umbrella. And then the humidity went away. It's like 31% right now and about 82. So the micro SD card is supposed to come tomorrow, and I hope to take the camera out and see what I can do for you guys, both in the daytime. I've got the Renaissance Fair coming up, so we'll definitely do that, and a couple of people had requested video footage of some of the goth events that I go to, which is a great idea. So I hope that I get decent enough lighting for that. Forgive the lack of makeup. I wanted to get this done before the sun goes down, so I'm practically barefaced. So yeah, if I can get this thing working to my satisfaction tomorrow night or Thursday, there is a chance that I'll be going out to something that could be very cool, a Thursday night event. It's like I guess they do it monthly. Underworld. It's I think one of the longer running events in the city. They are not only having Depeche Mode night, and I believe it's Depeche Mode exclusive, which is, well, you know what? They probably whenever they have a Sisters of Mercy night, it's like 1/3 Sisters of Mercy. But at least, you know, it gives us some parameters. I don't think they'll be doing industrial or EBM to fuck things up. But not only are they having that particular theme, they are moving the event from a bar that has a kind of a strange feeling, since it's like normal people bar when you walk in for this event, and then we have, I say this like I go all the time, I don't, because it's Thursday night, but in the back is where the dancing happens, and that's the goth people. So it's sort of strange. You have to go through this portal and like graduate. You have to ascend, or descend rather, to where you ought to be, to where the fun happens. But they are having it at the old venue for the Red Party, Le Poison Rouge, so that'll be cool. Anyway, if all goes well, and I'm taking Friday off so that I can do this, or not specifically so I can do it, but I'm taking Friday off and I might be able to do it. I'll have to see what Evan wants to do, because he will be working the next day. I hope to get some footage for you and maybe talk to some people, and we'll see how it goes. The other thing I wanted to talk about was, I don't think I've mentioned that I sing pretty well, and I have sort of been occasionally bumping into these Smule karaoke videos online, and I thought it would be fun to give it a try, and then I looked at their selections, and they're really slim. They don't have anything by Tori Amos. They have one song by Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill, which it's not her best song at all. It is one that is frequently included in the songbooks at karaoke bars. I don't know why. I was hoping to find Wuthering Heights, because I recently was able to, this was very exciting for me, to deftly maneuver those high notes. I mean, I can always hit the high notes and just, you know, sail for a very long time, but to have the agility, like with my diaphragm, it's really the diaphragm. I have strong abdominal muscles, and to just like to hit the high note and then immediately revert to a lower note like she does in that song is tricky. I was never able to do it, and then one day I was cleaning up and I had all this energy, and so I thought, okay, I'm gonna sing along with Kate Bush. So I did, and it was amazing, but they didn't have that track. They didn't have Lorena McKinnon. They did have a couple heart songs, so maybe I'll do Alone again. That's like my karaoke bar standby. Okay, so there's that. Maybe I'll do that after the goth night video. And last, so my friend, who you may have heard about, my friend type person, I thought I would fill you in, because I didn't do it in my last video, on the final message from her. So I had written little backstory. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna read through all the messages here. So here's what I initiated this with. Hi, Jezebel. Sorry to importune you, but there's something nagging at me that I need to ask you about to clear my mind. I had tried to put it out of my mind completely, but I was just in my Etsy message box recently, and an exchange with Angelica at Elphick Wear, staring me in the eyes from September 2013, brought it all back. I'm sure you recall my interest in a certain green velvet elf dress that you bought right after I expressed my interest to you and asked for your opinion about it. I tried to deny to myself that that's what actually happened, since it would be unconscionable for me to do that to a stranger who asked my opinion, let alone a close friend. I couldn't bear the thought that you'd do it. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, a year or so later, when you wore the ensemble to the New York Fair, and I said, isn't that the costume I wanted to buy, you replied that the designer made another one, which I knew to be a bold-faced lie. She told me outright that she only makes one-of-a-kind items, otherwise I could have bought one myself. So I guess I'm wondering how you justify this type of behavior. I would never think that the value of a friend is merely a pile of velvet, no matter how pretty it is. Okay, and then she writes me back, it's been so long since the exchange you refer to that I do not recall the conversation you mention. I am distressed to hear that you have felt burdened by this for so long. I strive to be ethical in all of my relationships. That's really an astounding statement, considering that this is the person who announced to our entire table at the Ren Fair that her husband has no idea how much of their money, meaning his money, she spends on costumes, and we could realistically say that it's close to $100,000. She's nuts about costumes. And if he asked, she would say, I don't know, I don't remember. And that she believes that honesty is not the best policy. And then she told us not to ever tell him that she said all this. Ethical? I don't know. So, okay, moving on. She said, I would never purposely do what you described, only by accident. I can tell you that Angelica has made copies of gowns for me that she's made before. I am truly sorry to have hurt your feelings if I inadvertently purchased the exact gown you were interested in. I still have the gown, and if it's really an issue for you, you're welcome to it, as it is not worth the friendship to be sundered over it. I don't want there to be enmity between us, and I was looking forward to fair season, as it seems to be a consistent time that we see one another. It was never my intent to hurt your feelings or to buy a dress out from under you. I hope we can resolve this and put it behind us. Okay, so before I started this whole conversation, I had reached out to the designer to see if she makes replicas of her own stuff or ever makes two or whatever. And she said no, she does not do that because, and I already knew this, she doesn't, she likes for all of her customers to have something special. All right, so my reply was, thanks for getting back to me. I thought you would remember the exchange, but then again, it was 3 years ago. Anyway, I checked the dates and times of our correspondence through FB. It took a while for the messages to load, but I sat here and waited because we had like 6,000 messages back and forth. I was hoping desperately that I'd see some evidence I'd misjudged the situation against my exchange with Angelica, and you did, in fact, buy the very gown I had asked your opinion about on the day I expressed an interest in it. There were a few texts I had sent you in the morning of September 10th, 2013. Of course, I don't have those anymore because I have a different phone. There's probably a way for me to get them. I bet I could do that. Of course, I don't have those anymore. Initiating the discussion that continued here, you began with, I just saw your texts. And then, okay, so then the conversation led up from that. And then the sequence saved on Etsy with Angelica, where I'm asking about the sizing and so forth, which eventuates in her saying, meanwhile, the dress sold to another lady, all on September 10th. She only made one gown. I guess you might have self-justified at the time, thinking she could just make another one, but I would have appreciated your being straight with me about it. And I would still appreciate that, because she doesn't. She's not going to be straight with me, as you'll see. At any rate, I do appreciate your offering me the gown. That's very generous, but I'll be fine without it. And your sweat that's embedded in it. I didn't say that. I very much enjoy your company, your perspective, and your input on things. All true. And I wouldn't want to let that go, but trust is very important to me too. In other words, you can't be trusted. Therefore, I don't know what we've got here. But she doesn't draw that conclusion from this in a second. I still hope we can share some mead and silliness at the fair this year, and I hope you're well. Okay. like when I like when I throw my drink at her. Okay. So she writes back. This is the final thing. I'm sorry I didn't get back sooner. Family stuff blowing up right now. It was something so minor. It was like, oh, my grandmother has a broken arm, or I don't know. Family stuff blowing up right now. I'm glad that we can continue our friendship and look forward to seeing you at the fair this year. Thank you for sharing your concerns with me, and please feel free to do so in the future. I'm sorry I cannot craft a more eloquent response right now, just worried about my mom and grandmother. And then she doesn't ever come back. Like, this was 2 weeks ago, almost 2 weeks ago. And she doesn't ever muster the wherewithal to craft a more eloquent response, or one where she says, you know what, you're right. I must have bought that costume out from under you. I don't know what came over me. That was terrible. And I hope you can forgive me. Something like that. Just, you know, own the mistake. Which, I don't know, calling it a mistake is awfully liberal of me. But at least, you know, here's all the evidence. We both know that you did something that one does not do to a friend. You betrayed my trust over something that we both, it's like it's a shared interest that bonds us. It's not just like I don't really care about dressing up. I don't really care about the friend. No, this was something that was very important to me and her as well. And, you know, it's like, would you steal my, if I asked her to edit a poem or to give me feedback on a poem, would she submit it to a journal and attach her name to it? That it's not quite that bad, but, you know, if it's a fair analogy, I would say, in this case. So yeah, total lack of integrity here. I've shared this whole story with friends of mine, like real friends who have character. They were, first of all, proud of me for confronting her. You know, there are various remarks about, oh, every time that I've spent any time with this person, she's just seemed very off, and we think she's a sociopath. And maybe she is. The inability to admit guilt, is that characteristic of someone who's sociopathic? Or is that narcissistic personality disorder? Anyway, something. There's something. So that's it. And it's a real shame because it's hard for me to find female friends who I really enjoy being with, enjoy writing, who share my political perspectives and will rant about them, and who are, you know, verbally gifted and want to go out dancing, and we had a lot of fun together. It's just sad that things have come to this, but one of my friends who I was just talking to a group of my girlfriends at brunch on Sunday, and one of them said, you know, she cannot continue to go through her life getting away with stuff like this. And that's true. And if I let her, what does that say about me? I mean, when I consider her other friends and wonder if she's done similar things to them, who knows if she has. But at some point, I mean, I can't be the only one, right? I mean, her husband is a victim of this unknowingly. I don't know how he can unknowingly be a victim, because you'd think he would be on his, keeping watch of his credit card statements and so forth. But I would certainly think less of a friend of hers who didn't react, who let her get away with it. So yeah, I'll probably see her at the fair and try to be polite. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. Being polite isn't the way to go. Or maybe it is. I don't know. I like to take the high road, but I also don't want to be phony. So that's, I guess that's my, that'll be my challenge. And And with that, I'm going to stop recording and go watch an episode of Merlin. Ta-ta! See you soon.